This is the Toddy coffee maker. It's great. I've owned this for almost 2 years, and it's the only coffee maker I own. I use it basically exclusively. I don't have a normal Mr. Coffee drip coffee maker or anything like that. I just use the Toddy stuff, and it's been working great for 2 years. So this is kind of my little review after owning it for 2 years and seeing what I still think. And then I'll show you a little tutorial on how to make it, if you're interested. So, this is it. I've owned this literal exact bucket for 2 years. If you're not familiar with the Toddy, it's a cold brew system. It's great, makes some delicious coffee, even with cheap $5 Trader Joe's coffee that I buy, which is pretty good. So, this is the bucket I've used. You can see it's a little stained inside, kind of a little bit, but I wash it out every time. It's just kind of inevitable when you have that much coffee grounds soaking in a white plastic thing. So the way this works, you have your bucket, you have a little plug, goes in the bottom, just like that. Make sure you put it in from the outside because you're going to have to pull it out later. So there's that, and then you need a filter, which I forgot in my fridge. So this is the filter. This is how you store it in a plastic bag. Wet in a plastic bag in the fridge is how I was told to store it. And as you can see, I have some hash marks on there to kind of keep track of how many times I've used the filter, because they have a life of about 10 to 12. So I just kind of keep track of it that way. So the filter goes right in that little bottom cubby hole right there. Let me do this here. It just goes in there, and then you need to make sure you know, pop it in there, and it should be wet when you put it in. Okay, and then so what you're gonna need is a measuring cup. I got this nice one. This particular pouring nozzle at the end really makes it nice and easy to give a nice pour into the Toddy, so I recommend having a nice pouring measuring cup. And then I got filtered water here too, just so I have a pure system. So start with just 1 cup of water. And by the way, I'm not super scientific on it. I know there's exact things. You're supposed to use a pound of coffee, and I'm using 14 ounces. So it's a little less than you're supposed to use, but I just do it for the full pound recipe, and it seems to come out fine every time anyway. So just pour the single cup of water in there. Take your ground coffee, and you want to do a coarse grind. So I always go to at Trader Joe's, I grind it. I buy the whole bean, grind it myself, and then try to make it as soon as possible, and also do a coarse grind when you are grinding it yourself, because it helps with the making of the Toddy coffee. And then just pour about half of your coffee into there. So I'm not super measuring this out. That takes forever. Do a little bit more. That's about half. Okay, and now we're gonna do 4 cups of water onto that. Now we're gonna do 4 cups of water onto the grounds in there, and you're gonna want to pour. There was a fly in there. You're gonna want to pour in like a kind of a circular fashion slowly. So, and this kind of helps to not clog up that. This helps to not clog up the filter that's in there. And try to wet all of the grounds evenly. So that was 2 cups. Do it again with 2 more cups for 4 cups. So once you have that, you're supposed to let it sit for like 5 minutes and just let it kind of steep a bit, and then we'll do that whole thing again. So I'll wait a few minutes and just see how it goes. But while we're waiting, this has been great. Literally, this is all I need. I'm in a small apartment, don't even want to have a coffee maker on the countertop or anything like that, so it's really easy to have this and put it away. And the way this works is it'll make a big batch of concentrated coffee that you can use, and you keep it in your fridge, and I think it's good for about 2 weeks. So I make a big batch of regular coffee and decaf, and then I have on hand. You can use the concentrate to make hot coffee or iced coffee. So I have hot, iced, regular, decaf on hand all the time in this little apartment. So it's super nice. I'll show you kind of how I do that in another video. You can maybe I'll put a link up for that if you want to check it out. But it's very handy, and I think this coffee tastes better too coming out of this. I interviewed the coffee concierge on my podcast, Curiosityness, and he made a really good, important point about people always wanting to find the best type of coffee or get the best coffee, and that's fun sometimes, but it's like, what's actually practical for you? Because I'm not going to spend, more than 5 minutes a morning making coffee for myself. I'm not going to do that every day. Some days you're in a rush and stuff, so for me, this is a good balance of it's always there and ready to go, and it's easy and it tastes good. It's a balance between taste and effort, and this hits the sweet spot. Okay, let's go. Let's make the rest. So pour the rest of your grounds. Four more cups of water. Okay, so now you have it. This is your cold brew. Your coffee is now cold brewing. So cold brew is literally your grounds sitting in cold water and it's brewing in there. And because the water's not hot, it takes longer. So you have to let this sit for, I believe, 12 to 18 hours or 10. I just let it sit overnight, like 12 hours. And then we will jump cut to 12 hours later in the morning, tomorrow morning, and I'll show you how to extract the coffee out of the Toddy system. Well, good morning. I've switched over to a voice over recording because it was really early in the morning and I didn't want to talk on the video. But this is me just released, pulled out the cork and the bottom, and you can see the coffee is just rushing out, and I always lick the leftover coffee. Thumbs up. Everything's going according to plan. And whoa, look at that thing take off. Look at that coffee fill up. Just drips. This was maybe 5 or 10 minutes of drippage, and it just comes out there. Ooh, and now we're checking it out. Always kind of rotate it to get all the coffee out of that bottom thing. Plug it back up so it doesn't drip anywhere all over your kitchen. And that's it. You got yourself some nice Toddy cold brew that you just made. Pop that lid on. Throw that in the fridge, and that's good for 2 weeks. Thanks for watching this video. Appreciate it. Share it with your friends if you like it, and here's some other things you can click on if you want to watch. Bye-bye.